Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the latest episode of Supernatural, Mamma Mia. And this was another good episode of Supernatural, kind of stringing along the arc and kind of setting us up for kind of where we're going to be going this season. So we continued with what was going on with Sam being captured and interrogated by Tony. And we first got a shot of, Dean trying to figure out how he's supposed to approach his mom because he doesn't want to overwhelm her since she's been dead for 33 years and doesn't want to put too much of the new world too fast on her. And of course he's talking to Cass about this, and Cass is being his usual self and just be like, Dean, just do what you need to do. I'll do what I need to do, looking for leasings and rentings in the area to try and get a better location than where Sam is. So his mom comes out and like, all right, where are we going? What do we need to do? And trying to wrap her head around the internet and all that. And she's like, okay, I kind of understand it, but continue. And they're just trying to figure out their plans of finding Sam. So then we go back to Sam, and at first we're kind of confused because it looks like he's having sex with Tony, and they're actually talking and conversing, even though there's this weird kind of thing going on where she's still asking her questions. And Sam's able to break through, and she was using a spell and a potion on him, and she couldn't do it again because she said it would liquefy his brain. Just going to show how tough the Winchesters have become over all the seasons. Because if this has been season 1, season 2, they would have held out a little bit, but they wouldn't have been as used to this kind of punishment from season 3 on, because they dealt with far worse things than this British Man of Letters is throwing at them so far. And she's just really adamant of trying to show her plan of getting the hunters together and doing a better way of policing the monsters and supernatural threats in America. Wanting to know, how they're organized, who's the leaders, and all that kind of stuff. And it's that's kind of the strength and the weakness of hunters. They are so spread and so diverse that they're effectively their own cells. So if you try and do something come over and force that kind of thing, you've pretty much got the same kind of idea of the Revolutionary War and the Vietnam War. These people are on their home turf. They've been doing this kind of thing 40 years. They can just hunker down. They know the terrain better than you. They know the locales better than you. If it comes to that kind of thing, it's just going to be a repeat kind of what would be happening. It would be better to try and do a kind of positive, as they're saying, doing the honey olive branch kind of thing, more than, come over, tie someone up and start trying to torture them for information. That's not a good way to do these things. And I think Tony starts to kind of realize that as this is going on, because she's not really getting the information that she wants or needs. So, while she's doing that, Castiel, Dean, and Mama Winchester are doing their thing, kind of finding all the information that they need, and they do eventually find the house. Cass finds it and it's warded, and he's talking to Dean on the phone about it, and Dean's like, yeah, that's gotta be the house. Why else would it be warded? It's just come over here and all that. And it's interesting to see Dean's reactions to his mom, because he's like, okay, Mom, just stay back. I got this. Because he only got to know his mom a short amount of time, and any kind of danger that she would be in, you could see Dean kind of tense up and be like, I don't want to lose her again, I lost her before. And she's like, I know how to handle this, even though previously she'd pulled their bacon out of the fire with the other British Men of Letters that pretty much tried to kill them. So Dean's kind of going away around the house and everything, and of course falls into a trap. And Tony brings Dean down and is like, all right, I know you can handle it, but can you handle me torturing your brother in front of you? It's like, okay, that's a little bit of a better kind of plan on your part. Still not going to work that well. And then we see that Mama Winchester comes in and pretty much let my boys go. And Sam is just dumbstruck that his mother's alive, and that's kind of cool to see that kind of reaction out of Sam. Because as the series has gone forward, you've seen a kind of hardening of both Sam and Dean to losing people, and it kind of makes their choices even more hard going forward, depending upon what kind of world-ending scenario is going on. They kind of push it a little bit harder. They kind of do kind of more risky things because they don't have those people to kind of rein that back in. Granted, it wouldn't be the show without those two, but you see their supporting cast being knocked off, and you see that kind of pivotal support stripped away and kind of changing who they are. And that's kind of the cool aspect of what Mary Winchester brings. Is she going to be able to kind of bring a little bit of their humanity back, kind of make them care a little bit more about kind of how their decisions affect the world and each other, because they've gotten in this pattern of lying to each other and doing what they think is best, even if they don't talk to anybody about it. So hopefully this kind of brings them into a kind of a better kind of relationship with each other. And then, of course, Tony starts ripping into Mary, and then as that's going on, Mary's able to turn the tables and show why she was in a hunting family, because she can handle herself. And she starts getting some good licks in on her. And then, of course, the fight's broken up because Mick, the kind of superior at the moment over Tony, has brought in Castiel and removed the warding, and talking about how he's here to extend the olive branch, because if he wanted to, he could have killed everyone anyway. He wouldn't have let Castiel in their ace in the hole. So he's talking about how he wants to kind of make a truce with the Hunters, kind of like help them and help the men of letters, the British men of letters, kind of like get supernatural threats under control. So it's going to be kind of exciting going forward to see if that's actually true, or if they're, of course, trying to play them. Because I think they've got different motives than just that in appearance. Because otherwise, if it was that simple, they could have just started putting out the notice to Hunters, have them spread it across their network, and then just coordinate stuff more effectively. Because this is, I know, granted, this is the first way, but it just feels like there's something more to it. Because as Tony and Mick are kind of leaving, it's like, I'm prepared to take out all these Hunters if need be. I've even called for Mr. Ketch, who we see briefly hacking up all these kind of armaments and whatnot. And we probably know it's going to come to an interesting conclusion between him and the Winchester brothers. So that's another thing to kind of look out for. And then to end that kind of part of the story, we see Sam and Dean and Mary Winchester talking about kind of this change, that she's back and what that's going to mean. We see her bring some pie to Dean, and that's always cool. And they bring callbacks like that, seeing Sam kind of connect with Mary and all that, talking about the internet and all that. It's like, okay, yeah, that's good. Call the internet. That's close. And then later seeing the emotional kind of like conversation they had, him giving Papa Winchester, John Winchester's journal to her to kind of like help her figure out what happened when she was gone, and kind of seeing Sam actually interact with his mom for the first couple times, because he never got to do that. And it was really cool, and they did a really good job of selling that emotion, and I really want to see that kind of stuff going forward. And the other thing we got to see in this episode was we got Crowley, Rowena, and Vinny and Lucifer. So Rowena's trying to play her game, of course, for survival, trying to help this rich guy. And Crowley's like, kind of need your help. And of course he does it in his Crowley way, pretty much trying to blackmail her, saying, okay, I will pretty much out you to this dude if you don't help me put Lucifer back in the cage. So they come up with this kind of plan and everything, getting it all set up, trying to figure out where he's going to be. And we also see this Vinny character, who's this kind of rock star, kind of like lower tier, dealing with the death of his wife and all that, and he's really down and everything, so a perfect kind of vessel for Lucifer, because he can play on that. And he does. He uses her, and he says yes, and lets her in. And Rick Springfield did a pretty good job of selling the Lucifer angle. Granted, I always liked Mark Pellegrino. He did a great job as Lucifer, but I'm really interested to see where he's going to take Lucifer and how he does it, because he really sold the kind of gravitas of Lucifer when dealing with Crowley, because that was an interesting interaction, as Crowley pretty much proposed that since God's gone, why don't you take over heaven? I'll be ranch manager in hell. I'm like, yeah, that's perfect textbook Crowley. As then he uses Rowena to kind of like put a paralysis spell on him, and he throws acid at his face to kind of like subdue him, but of course that really doesn't work. And we don't know exactly what space Lucifer is right now, because God kind of healed him, and I don't know what effect that truly's had. Is he at archangel levels? We know he's powerful among the demons and can pretty much go toe to toe with archangels, but did God restore him or any other kind of power since he was needed for the darkness? Is he weakened by how the darkness ripped him out of Castiel? What kind of headspace is he in right now? That's the kind of stuff that I really want them to get into. And he pretty much is getting ready to take out Crowley when he like Batmaned away, and he's now got Rowena in his clutches and gonna use her as a plaything, so we know Crowley's gonna have to go back to the Winchesters. Granted, he's trying to be big tough king of hell, which of course you always like to see Crowley do, but he's gonna need their help, because it's like, here you go. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. So even though Crowley usually does bad things, he's usually more amiable to helping out the Winchesters when there's something bad going on. So it's kind of in their best interest to have Crowley doing his Crowley thing and get Lucifer back in the cage. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.